Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. Baseball's All-Star game is tonight, Tony. Have you ever made any All-Star teams?
I'm Tony Kornheiser. Street and Smith's 10 Sexiest Sports Writers, 1978. I got a copy of it behind me on the bookcase.
Wow.
Yeah. 78. I got a copy of it behind me on the bookcase.
Wow.
Yeah.
You beat out Bob Ryan? Is that the case, huh?
I think I beat out Ryan. Pretty sure I beat out Lupica. Pretty sure.
I'm not getting into that one.
You could look it up.
I'm not going anywhere
Welcome to
near that.
PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Nick Saban's football future. Criticism of Jalen Hurts, and Mark DeRosa joins us to talk baseball for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with big dumper Cal Raleigh winning the home run derby last night, becoming the first catcher to ever do so. Raleigh is now the 4th player to win the home run derby while leading the majors in home runs to that point, joining Ken Griffey Jr. and Mark McGwire, who did it in the 90s, and Aaron Judge, who did it in 2017. Wilbon, how high in the star rankings can you see Raleigh ascending?
Well, Tony, if you're going to ascend high in star rankings, it means to me more than one season. Look, he's the odds-on favorite to be the MVP. And I know Aaron Judge is like, let's not count out Aaron Judge with the season he's having.
Right.
But it means you got, even as a catcher, and we're paying special attention because, my goodness, this guy's having a hell of a year for anybody and double for a catcher. But Mike Piazza's a guy who had 5, 6 or more great seasons. I'm not even about to start mentioning the likes of Johnny Bench, and if we go back in time, Berra and Campanella. I'm just not prepared to do that. But in today's star-making turn, where the marketing people will make a star out of anybody who's had 3 great weeks, the dumper is already a star by today's standards. But if he's going to be the MVP and then can sustain this, you know, and like, I don't care, as I said 2 days in a row, I don't care about, you know, home run derby. Tony, I just want all the All-Star games to get off the stage so that we can resume with the parts of the season that matter. And now we are in the second half of the season in both leagues. There's some intriguing races going on. You've got Raleigh having this terrific season. But star to me means more than one season. To me, old-fashioned as I am.
Yeah. So I would just start by saying what a warm moment it must have been last night when Cal Raleigh is up there swinging and his dad is throwing the pitches and his younger brother is catching behind him. I remember when Bryce Harper's dad was throwing the pitches to Bryce Harper when he was on the Nationals and he won the home run derby. And what a fortunate thing for Raleigh yesterday that the longest home run he hit in the first contest was that got him into the second contest, was 1 inch longer than the Oakland player, right? Let me get Oakland's player's name, Brent Rooker. 1 inch longer. Okay, how high can he go? Catcher is a problem. It's not a glamour position, though 2 guys you mentioned, Johnny Bench and Mike Piazza, were fairly glamorous. He's the best defensive catcher in all of baseball, and I think that matters. He's got a great nickname. Big Dumper is a great nickname. He's a switch hitter. Legendary players have been switch hitters. And Mike, by August 1st, it's very possible he will have, certainly not August 1st, September 1st, he'll have more home runs than any catcher ever had. What is the negative here? One of the negatives is he plays in Seattle, which is off the grid, though that never hurt Ken Griffey Jr. The big negative to me is that he's in the era of Ohtani and Judge, who are tremendously glamorous players in large cities who look like all-timers. So what would happen with Raleigh, even if he has a great year, is somebody's going to say, do it again. Do it again. Prove it's not a fluke. Because these other guys have done it again. And these other guys have been in the World Series, and that matters.
Again. That's just
yes,
it.
They've done
to do
it
it
again.
more than once, and we'll see if he's capable. That's worth watching. I don't care about home run derby. Dumper, can he sustain this? That's what's worth watching to me. Let's move to speculation about, brace yourselves, Nick Saban returning to coaching. ESPN analyst and former Alabama quarterback Greg McElroy said on his radio show yesterday that someone very much in the know was pretty adamant that Saban will return to coaching one day. Ole Miss coach and former Alabama offensive coordinator Lane Kiffin later said, quote, "I don't think he's done," close quote. Tone, could you see Nick Saban returning to coaching?
Yeah, so as a former sports writer, I would love to know who Greg McElroy's source is. Could it be Saban himself, since Saban coached him at Alabama? Maybe it's somebody who coached with Saban. Could it be Sarkisian? Could it be Bill Belichick? Can I see Saban returning coaching? Of course I can. Bill Belichick is coaching again. Pete Carroll is coaching again. And you're going to say, hold it. Nobody wants to coach with the NIL and the transfer portal. And Saban got out because he couldn't control his team the way he used to be able to control his team. Well, things evolved, Mike. I mean, again, look who's coaching. Look what Belichick did. He hired a GM so that he could be shielded from all the transactional stuff. I mean, it seems to me this is going to settle down. It seems to me it's going to be streamlined, the transfer portal and the NIL and all that money. And it seems to me possible that Saban would say, yeah, I've been out 2 years. I'll take another shot at this. And I would list a bunch of names, Mike, in another sport. Mike Krzyzewski, Jim Boeheim, Roy Williams, Tony Bennett, Jay Wright. Is it possible that maybe a couple of them look at it now and say, maybe I was a little too hasty? Because I think it'll settle down and you can go back to coaching.
It's not settled down at all. It's going to be wilder because people are going to offer money outside of whatever the salary cap is. You think the Texas A&M, just to pick a place, you think their oil-rich alums are going to say, yeah, we're going to pay attention to the cap? No, they're not. And Saban's not coming back. And I'm going to go Bill Cowher on you because there are some people who just enjoy their lives. And Saban seems to be one of them. He plays the best golf courses in the world every time he wakes up and wants to do it. I tell you something, Saban would be great. That'd be great at a lot of stuff. How about the czar of college football? Because college football is going to need one. All of college sports needs one. No, he's not coming back because Saban very quickly identified what the problem was going to be, the issues were going to be in college sports. And he got out the next day. He was smarter and quicker than everybody, and he ain't coming back.
I'm going to go the other way. And I'm just going to make it very, very simple here. And he's done great work. He's brilliant in that Verbo commercial, he is. But he's been out 2 years, and this is the life he's always had. And maybe he misses it. Let's move to the NFL, where Philadelphia Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni told NBC Sports in Philadelphia that he totally rejects the notion that last year's Super Bowl winning Eagles carried quarterback Jalen Hurts and that Hurts was just along for the ride, a notion that apparently has found traction in Philadelphia. Sirianni said, quote, "I think that's bull bleep. We're talking about the ultimate team game there is, and he does whatever he needs to do to win every game," unquote. Wilbon, was this something that ever entered your mind?
No, because it's too stupid to enter my mind. And this is what happens when a 17-game season has to be discussed on every network, including this one, for 52 weeks. That means there's 30-plus weeks when it shouldn't be discussed, when there ought to be a moratorium, when people ought to say, let's discuss something else, like golf and tennis and track and field. But no, we're going to just discuss this ad nauseum and propose questions and debates that are stupid and not worth considering. And then we're going to do it tomorrow morning and the next morning and the next morning. And that's all it is fodder for stupid talk.
So I think that, in this particular case, it may have something to do with these rankings of quarterbacks that come out, and you see that Hurts is ranked like 9th or 10th or 11th or something like that.
Just dumb.
I'm one of those people who believe that there are better quarterbacks than Jalen Hurts, but I would be inclined to put Jalen Hurts, as you know, as the MVP ahead of a lot of those guys. Joe Burrow, I think, is a better quarterback. Lamar Jackson, I think, is a better quarterback. Their results are nowhere near Jalen Hurts' results. Jalen Hurts' results are right in front of you. I mean, is there linkage to the fact that Saquon Barkley came to the Eagles and the Eagles won a Super Bowl? Sure, that's possibly true. But Jalen Hurts is out there on every play to make sure Saquon Barkley gets the ball where he needs the ball and make sure that offense is maximized. I'll give you a quarterback, Mike, a comparable quarterback who did not have overwhelming statistics, who had wonderful receivers and had great running backs and won Super Bowls. Bart Starr. And I don't think the Packers could have won without Bart Starr. I think that team was Bart Starr's in the way that the Eagles team is Jalen Hurts's. And like you, I don't know where this comes from. I just don't. I don't.
It comes from a place of stupid because history is littered with guys who did what they were supposed to do. Do your job. As it Parcells or Belichick, I forget which Bill said it, do your job.
Belichick.
Bob Greasy would never be mentioned with the all-time great Pat. What'd he do? He did what he was supposed to do and did his job and quarterbacked a great team. And there are people like that.
Right.
You mentioned Barsar. Of course those guys are.
Yeah.
And Jalen Hurts is every bit of that. And so when I see these rankings, Tony, the rankings have to come out so you can have these stupid discussions.
I will tell you, Mike.
52 weeks a year.
This feels like a creation, and I would give all the credit in the world to Nick Sirianni if he created it just to slam it. Let's take a break. Coming up, Tarek Skubal and Paul Skeens are your all-star starters. What can baseball do to restore the stature of the starting pitcher? We're going to ask Mark DeRosa.
We'll also ask him about Pete Alonso's suggestion to make one-on-one fights legal in baseball. We should ask him about another Pete, MD Pete Crow Armstrong. That's what we should ask him. That's the Pete we should be talking about.
In a story we broke in our first segment, baseball's All-Star Game is tonight, which makes it a perfect time to bring in the co-host of MLB Network's MLB Central, Mark DeRosa. Wilbon is a devotee of Mark's, which you'll find out later. Let's start with this. Some Phillies are having a problem with The Miz making the All-Star team as a replacement. Mark, how do you feel about that?
You know, I never looked at it, guys, like an entertainment product when I played. But now being on this side of it, I do see it as an entertainment product. This guy has lit it up. I know it's only 5 starts. I also know that a lot of guys have declined going. And usually the rule is if you're going to be a replacement, you have to be available to pitch in the game. I can understand Christopher Sanchez having he should have been an all-star from jump, but he just pitched recently. He wasn't going to be available. Probably same with Ranger Suarez. They start going down the line and eventually they get to a guy who's throwing a $101 who has a chance to come in maybe in the 5th, 6th or 7th inning and light it up. I can understand the guys having a problem with it, but as an entertainment product, I can't wait to see him tonight.
God, I have to hate him as my birthright as a Cub fan, Mark, to hate the Miz, even though I'm fascinated by him, of course. Let's stay with starting pitching because we got this great matchup for as long as it lasts between Skubal and Skeens. If you were the czar of baseball, what would you do to sort of make sure starting pitching and starting pitching matchups were a bigger part of the game?
Yeah, you know what? This is a bigger question. This is a full show because this is leaking down all the way into the youth. I just think there's got to be something in place. I don't know if it's a rule. The way I watch the game is I pick out who the best starting pitching matchup is that night, and that's where I'm fixated at. I don't get overrun with guys who are going to go 4 or 5 innings, and then they're just going to start rolling the bullpen in there. So for me, it's what the industry is valuing right now. Missing bats is kind of leaking down into the minor leagues, how they're being developed, and it's leaking into college and all the way into youth baseball. It's what these kids are chasing. I'm immersed. I have a 15-year-old son. They're chasing lighting up the radar gun. They're chasing exit velo, even if it's not a hit. So I just think organizations have to start valuing efficiency, certainly stuff, but the ability to pitch and be willing to let these guys go through the lineup, not only twice, but some of them maybe a third time, and not be so fixated on a pitch count.
There's something else that people might get fixated on. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. We want to find out how you feel about players being able to challenge balls and strikes tonight.
Yeah.
Where are you on technology improving the game?
I love it. I'm going to be honest with you. I just was the bench coach for Chipper Jones in the Futures game, and we got to use it, and I watched it work to our advantage twice. So, yeah, I'm good with it. I think you're going to see this next year. I think this is going to be brought into the game next year. I think they're trying to figure out how many challenges to give people. You don't want everyone saving it to the 9th inning and then it slows down the game. The pitch clock has made whether you Whether you agree with it or not, it has made it a better product, in my opinion, getting the ball moving a little bit more. So, yeah, I think you're going to see it tonight. Guys are going to be scared to use it. Tarek Skubal actually said he's not going to use it. He'll leave it to his catcher if he wants to use it.
Now we got another question for you. This is a wild question. I was unaware of this. Pete Alonso said today that he would like to see one-on-one fights get legalized in baseball the way they are in hockey. This is so off the board for me. Where do you come down on Alonso's proposal?
You know what's crazy? I kind of understand where he's coming from, because the whole bench clearer and nobody throws a punch, and then here comes the bullpen and we got a 15-minute delay, and it's a lot of pushing and shoving. Listen, I've been a part of a couple brawls in my life. You make a quick decision. You're either in the mix at the bottom of the pile, willing to get after it, or you're playing peacekeeper. So, I mean, I kind of get where he's coming from. Usually it's a one-on-one matchup. If those guys want to go at it, I kind of understand where Pete's coming from.
Yeah, Alonso's coming from the position of being about 6'3",
the biggest,
and
strongest guy on the field. Yeah,
that's where he's coming from.
Enforce.
You're going to pick your spots. You're going to pick your spots, who you're going to drill and who you're not going to drill.
Absolutely. Mark, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks a lot,
thank
Mark.
you.
Appreciate it, man.
Hey, big honor. Thank you, guys.
Let's take one break. Still to come, a dunk to remember for, at least a few days.
If that. And what could a change in ownership mean for the Tampa Bay Rays? No, it can't be like the NHL. No, I don't want that. No, nuh-uh.
Okay, so you loved DeRosa as a Cub, right? You loved him. And you loved the show he's on. You loved it.
Couple.
Happy time, people. Happy 20th birthday, Juju Watkins. The USC basketball star was averaging 23.9 points per game for the one-seed Trojans when Watkins tore her ACL in a second-round NCAA tournament game against Mississippi State in March. Watkins' absence was felt a couple of rounds later when USC lost to eventual national champion Connecticut, and we all missed a chance to see Watkins and Paige Beckers on the same court. Watkins had a sensational freshman year, averaging 27.1 points, second only to Caitlin Clark. The last two #1 draft choices in the WNBA are Clark and Beckers. Watkins could surely follow in their footsteps when she chooses to come out.
Thank goodness that modern medicine and healthcare and technology have rendered the serious knee injury just not as big a deal as it used to be, and the greatest players can come back now, including Juju Watkins.
Happy anniversary, Rafael Palmeiro. On this day 20 years ago, while playing for the Orioles, Palmeiro doubled for the 3,000th hit of his career, joining only Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, and Eddie Murray as players then with at least 500 home runs and 3,000 hits. Palmeiro's shining moment took a dark turn within weeks when he was suspended for a positive steroids test. Palmeiro played only 7 more games, finishing his career with the most games played by someone who never played in the World Series, 2,831. Palmeiro is not in the Hall of Fame, clearly because of steroids, and is likely most remembered for wagging his finger at a congressional inquiry into steroids in baseball.
Tony, doesn't it seem Palmeiro, as great as he was, played most of his career in the shadows? Like, you just don't, I don't have moments I go to automatically for somebody as great as Palmeiro, as talented as he was.
No, you're right, but those numbers are amazing numbers.
Unbelievable.
Happy trails to a little bit of dignity for Noah Asenge. The Bulls rookie got dunked on by Johnny Furphy of the Pacers in Summer League yesterday. Asenge tried to deny Furphy at the rim, and for his effort, ended up in a tough photo that was retweeted by stars like Tyrese Halliburton and Caitlin Clark. And that image is what people will remember, even though Asenge outscored Furphy 21-15 and the Bulls won the game. Furphy grew up in Australia. Asenge is from France, so this could qualify as an international incident, Wilbon.
I want Asenge to go up even stronger next time, not worry about the poster. Asenge, Bucelas, Kobe White, and Josh Giddey, I'm starting to just at least wonder if the Bulls are putting together something. I like that kid we drafted in the first round, 12th, I think, overall. Asenge, like what I've seen so far in Summer League.
Yeah, let it rest. It's the off season. Let it rest for a while. Big finish. Paul George had arthroscopic knee surgery to treat an injury suffered in a recent workout. Your thoughts? I know you love him.
I do. They can't catch a break in Philly or Paul. It's training camp. It's a long season. I hope he can get out there soon when it's time. Trevor Lawrence tells pardon my take. He really needs to turn it on this season. What are you waiting for? You agree with him?
Yeah, I mean, they redid his contract. They gave him a lot of money. And you loved him more than anybody ever in college.
I
You did, I know that. The Panthers will host your Blackhawks to open the NHL season. I'm sure you're excited.
No, we're not ready for prime time yet. No. The Washington football franchise will retire Art Monk's number 81 jersey this season. Make sense?
Yes. I mean, he was a great receiver on Super Bowl winning teams, yes. Last one, Rays owner Stu Sternberg reportedly selling the team. Your thoughts?
Do you have any thoughts about that franchise? Tampa Bay Times reporting playoff games will be at Steinbrenner Field. I guess that's a big deal.
We're out of time. We'll try to do better the next time, and I'm Tony Kornheiser.
And I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, knuckleheads. Tony, Theismann and Riggins not retired? What?
That's amazing,
Their
isn't
jerseys?
it? How could they not retire 44? How's that possible?
Don't get it.
PTI. Now with more in tonight's PTI bonus topic.
All right, Wilbon, what is your reaction to Scotty Scheffler's comments today?
Tony, I am just not one, and you know this, who's going to parse every sentence out of every athlete or coach's mouth on a radio show or a podcast. I'd largely shrug and go, I don't know. I don't know how revealing he or she should be in the moment. And it's kind of cool when people are revealing. I mean, there's some athletes out there, past and present, who burn so brightly and let you know what's on their mind. And you think of, Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and Jack Nicklaus to some degree, even though there wasn't as much mainstream media then. You know where Jack stood. And winning was as fulfilling as everything. And they told you that. And everything they did in their lives said, this is what I believe. I don't know Scotty Scheffler. He's 29 years old. He's been out there for a little while. He seems pretty calm, placid even. I don't know what makes him burn. I'm a little suspect when he says sort of that it's not the most fulfilling thing in his life. But on the other hand, does it have to be? Does he have to be that revealing? So you like to read the tea leaves. So I'm going to turn this over to you.
I do. No, I do. I remember when I was a working sports writer, and I've told you the story many, many times. One of the favorite things that I ever got to do was cover tennis tournaments if and when John McEnroe lost. Because if John McEnroe lost, he came into the press room and it was like he was going to a psychiatrist for 2 hours. And he told you everything. And it was fascinating to me. When he won, he was ready to talk for 5 minutes, get done, and get on to the next round. And so, I remember that distinctly. I don't care about the bell. I'm going to go for a while here because I have notes. I watched what Scheffler had said. And so much of it struck me as reasonable. Scheffler was looking he was coming to grips with the reality of work. Work is tremendously fulfilling. Work is tremendously exciting. Work is how a lot of people define themselves. But as you get a little bit older, you realize, that work isn't everything in your life. He's 29 years old. You and I are so far past 29 that we can't remember this phase in our lives. But he loves golf, and he loves to win at golf, and it's all he ever wanted to do when he was 14 and 16 and 18 and 20 and 22. But now he's married, and now he has a child. And now one of the things that I loved when he said was, you win a tournament and it's great for 2 minutes, and then you wonder what's for dinner. Yeah, that's the reality of our lives. I love doing this show. When it's over, I wonder what's for dinner. I think the surprise here, Mike, is that we've not seen Scotty Scheffler be this self-revealing before. We haven't seen anything like, it's not like Rory. Yeah, Rory could come in and sit at a table and say these things. You can say, yeah, that's Rory thinking about his life. We hadn't seen it with Scheffler. I think it's perfectly normal to have these questions. I don't think it's going to affect him as a golfer at all because he loves the competition of golf and he wants to keep winning. it struck me as rather mature and not necessarily somebody searching for something. It actually seemed like he'd found it and he was at peace with it. Did you not think that?
It leads me to wonder
God, I
one
went
thing,
on so
given the
long.
people I mentioned at the top, does he burn enough? Does it matter enough? Is
Well, he
he
certainly
going to
has
want
so
to? Because the
far.
people I was talking about, they wanted to win more than they wanted to have dinner. They didn't give a damn about dinner. They wanted to win
Is there
tonight
okay.
and overnight
But
and
is
in the
there any
morning, and I
indication,
respected
Mike?
that. Huh?
Is there any indication in what he said that he doesn't still burn to win? I thought that's what he was
Again,
saying.
But nothing in what he said. It's in what I'm hearing. And the other
Okay.
athletes I mentioned listening to over time, they didn't go there. They didn't go there. They didn't wonder about dinner. So I don't know. That's why I don't parse. Because everybody gets to feel what they feel, and we get to hear what we hear. That's it. We're done.